We all had different play patterns as children, and right now we all have different play patterns. Sorry, I should say collecting patterns as adults. And that's what we're here to discuss today. There was always the thrill when you were collecting toys as a kid. Do you get the vehicle? Do you get the figure? Do you get both? How do you play with them? And today, how do you display them? Do some take up too much room? What gives you the thrill of the hunt of collecting these days? Where does the reward factor comes in? And where do you balance the vehicle and the figure? And maybe, because we've had a few write-in requests, we'll talk about play sets as well. But with that, once again, everyone, my name's Ken, and this is a Toy Connections online live stream, or TKO, broadcasting to you on the run-up to the Christmas holiday season. Now, look, I'd like to get our friends on screen right now. We got 3 fine, wonderful gentlemen waiting backstage. 2 of them, it'll be their first time actually appearing on camera on this particular show, and then we will begin the roundtable discussion. So first up, I watch this gentleman sometimes on a toy kind of mood over there with Travis, Bobby, Ryan. There's a whole crew of them on a toy kind of mood. Very knowledgeable on things G.I. Joe, Marvel, absolutely loves pop culture. He goes by Black Genghis, but we just call him plain old KJ. KJ, welcome to TKO.
Ken, thank you very much. I'm very excited to join you all this morning. Thanks for having me aboard. I'm thrilled about the subject. I love vehicles. I love play sets. I am a dioramist. Shout out to my people over at Toy Kind of Mood. And once again, thank you for having me.
Hey, absolutely no problem. Been meaning to do it for a while because I've heard that, you could talk to, KJ isn't just a G.I. Joe guy, even if that's mostly what you're tasked with talking about. Marvel is another massive passion of his. I'm like, hey, let's go for it. So anyway, in the other corner of the ring, no, hold on, there's 4 corners of a ring and there's 4 of us. Okay, well, whatever, right? We got the blog master / webmaster of a wonderful webpage / blog called Joe Restored. He just did a recent article on the Snowcat, and I want to say the G.I. Joe shark, but I think he deep faked us on that article. It was actually the mask shark he put in that article. That link is in the description below next to the Toy Kind of Mood description, which is also down below. But Matthew Comstock, welcome to TKO.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No problem, sir.
Very happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. Did I get that right? It was the mask shark that was in that article.
No. It was the G.I. Joe shark.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure why. Maybe it was an ad with the car with the Porsche.
If it ended with the C, then it's G.I. Joe.
That's what I saw. That's what I thought, because it was a C, and then I'm not sure. But thank you for correcting me on that, because
no. I was just saying, it wasn't as cool as it was made out to be in Sunbow.
That's all that was. Okay.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys know this stuff as well as I do. But was there another vehicle that was more inaccurately portrayed in Sunbow versus the actual toy?
I mean, I would say the shark as portrayed in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, perhaps.
But now we're stretching a little. So, and anyway, returning to TKO, my favorite, do I call him a soapbox artist? I just love when he gets into a pattern of talking. You can find his amazing artwork on Instagram. My buddy, General Hans Chow.
What up?
What up? Mm-hmm. Now, for those of you who, if you've ever run your own StreamYard before, KJ, you may have done this before, you can see the view of everybody at the bottom. Everyone's faces at the bottom. And I almost burst out laughing when I did my introduction, and that's why I was a bit thrown off, because when the Toy Connections rock music was playing, I could literally see Hans headbanging for about 15 seconds. And when I saw that and the camera came and my face was on, I almost just burst out laughing. And that's why I had to try not to fumble a little bit. But that was amazing, Hans.
Getting in mood for my concert in 2 weeks. So
I see.
Typical Hans, though. But were you Beavis or were you Butthead when you were headbanging?
That's exactly what he was doing. Yeah. Imagine watching that for 15 seconds and having to talk on camera after the fact. I'm like, darn it, buddy. But that was amazing. So
yeah, it was Schrodinger's headbanger. He was both Beavis and Butthead.
There we go.
At the same time. I have to do that. For those who don't have reference from that movie from the 90s or whatever it came out.
Shouldn't have done that.
Awesome.
I have to see the new one. I heard it was good.
Let's say a quick greeting and hello to everybody in the chat. But first off, my buddy Crash, thank you. You just became a YouTube channel member of this Toy Connections channel. I always appreciate those who can spend. It's only like 80 cents US. I set it at $1 Canadian, so I think it's like 80 cents US a month or something like that, and gives you a bunch of emojis and badges and whatnot. And speaking of channel members, Jim Largo, I know the logo doesn't show up on StreamYard, but it does show up in the actual live chats. So thank you for joining us all the time. And Hans multitasks; he can headbang and he can type at the same time. So there we go. Ian Sweeney, good to see you. Yeah,
No relation.
no relation.
No relation.
We'll go with no relation. All right.
All right.
Payne's Toy Samples, as always. We got a TJC saying hello to everybody. Action Figure Rescue, hello there. We got Highly Articulated Adam, who was on the show not too long ago. He's got another fun channel, covers some Mythic Legion stuff. And when Animal Warriors of the Kingdom drops, I think he and I are probably going to try to do an episode together. So, yeah, I think I've basically caught everybody. No, not everyone. I've Gojatron. All right, I guess you must be off this weekend or you're messaging us from work, but either way, we appreciate you in the comment section, Gojatron. He was on not that long ago either. We've got Jeff Morris saying, well, he said something and then he said, I mean good morning. I don't see his other message. So good morning either way, or good afternoon if you happen to be on East Coast time, and good evening if you're in Europe. And and also to help us kick off, Articulated Chad, who we just streamed with the other night on Jay Bartlett's channel. Chad's got another great channel, and he's currently setting up his G.I. Joe Man Cave. He sends a pleasurable super chat and says, morning, gentlemen. Looking forward to a good conversational topic. And we look forward to some of your fine comments in the chat as well, Chad. So thank you for that kind super chat. All right. Wow. Play patterns, collecting patterns. How do we even begin? Does anybody have an opening statement or an opening soapbox they want to? Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So whenever you can find compatible toys, especially around here in the States, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whenever you can get a deal and save something, I say go for it. This was originally for Bratz. You make some minor modifications, like peel off the sticker on the back, but you can use it for photos. Get some atmosphere aerosol. Get some props together. And have like your Marvel Legends suited gangsters coming out the car, or maybe a girls' night out. Girls just want to have fun. Shout out to Cyndi Lauper. And I would say just use your imagination. But when a sale pops up, definitely do that. I'll go ahead and roll into this. This is the WWE Wrecking Rig, for example. And you can just have troops like peering around it, using it for cover. Maybe some bad guys are taking a civilian and throwing him out, like get out, blah, blah. I'm the T-1000, that kind of thing, right? Just use your imagination.
Or just line that candy car with hose, right, Hans?
God bless your soul. Thank you.
I know. Wasn't the most appropriate thing to say, but I know you were thinking it. I know.
I didn't know he was a gardening fan. I mean, shovels, yeah.
Oh, but there's been a lot of memes on the internet going on about the Bratz car, so I'm glad you brought that into the perspective of this discussion. But the first sort of like part of this roundtable discussion I wanted to ask, and just to get other collectors' mindsets, because I know how I collect, and I know the things that drive me crazy and the things that I can't get a mental hurdle past when I run out of space, when I don't want to spend any more, when I'm unsure if I even want to buy something. Look. Do you gentlemen look forward to buying figures or vehicles more? I know it's a bit of a loaded question, but I'm going to get the floor open. KJ, you're deep in thought. We're going to go clockwise with you. Or do you want to pass?
No. I would say there's a hierarchy to it. I will always get figures wherever I can. When it comes to, say, 3 3/4, vehicles and playsets are more attainable. So usually you can get a playset that comes with figures. I'm thinking Fortnite in the Agent's Room with the Peely and the Ghost Peely, or Halo that comes with Master Chief and other Spartans, and that come with different vehicles, right? But when you're at that scale, a 3 3/4 scale, a 4-inch scale, that's easier. If you're talking 6-inch scale, it's almost always going to be figures. It's almost going to be, you're going to get He-Man and Skeletor. Maybe you can get Battle Cat and Panther. Maybe you can get the Wind Rider or this vehicle, that vehicle, right? Even with the Joes, like outside the motorcycles and the HasLab, we don't really have a lot of vehicles yet. So you're only collecting vehicles or anything that you can find compatible, be it die-cast or extreme sets, resin dioramas from Big Bad Toy Store or International. So it's really what's available, I think. But as far as it goes, if you don't have the vigors, you don't have a collection.
All right, no, fair enough. And I'm glad you brought the Halo Warthog into it, because I make a slight Halo reference on a video that I have coming up. Because yeah, I didn't realize you were a Halo fan. So
oh yeah, I'm a fan of. That's my problem. I have too many fandoms, so I start getting choosy.
It's all good. It's all good. Many hours playing that video game back in the day. But before we carry on here, I just want to say, Boba Hicks, thank you for the super chat, and he says, reminds us very kindly, collect them all. So if you can, I mean, that was the old file card on the back of the card sort of slogan. And obviously now collect them all means, look, you look at just Star Wars alone, Rancho Obi-Wan. Oh yeah, you can look at KJ's collection as well. Has a bit of a collect them all feel. You look at Rancho Obi-Wan, I don't even think he has it all. That was a great slogan back in.
Goodness. Yeah.
Say what?
You're not doing too bad yourself. Like looking behind you.
Yeah, and I have friends whose Transformers collections absolutely dwarf mine by a long shot. My best friend 10 minutes up the road. This collection, this is like maybe a quarter of what he's got. So it's like, and that includes the stuff that isn't even on display. But once again, thank you, Boba Hicks there, Mark. Matthew Comstock of Joe Restored. Talk to us, buddy, about the vehicles versus collecting figures and characters.
Well, I like to do what I can, but, just to ping off KJ a little bit, think about Black Series. How many vehicles have we seen for Black Series? The Snow Speeder I know of because it's in the other room.
Yeah.
That's the only one I know of.
Vlad.
And, I did go in on the classified hiss. But, I know we're supposed to get a flight pod at some point next year, right?
Yeah, and with the Televiper, that's the thing. That's usually how it's going to go. If we get the Vamp, it will probably have clutch. If we get the Stinger, it'll probably have the driver, right? So you're going to,
Right, yeah, but I mean, those 112 scale vehicles, they're hard to come by. And then space is a consideration.
I think the HasLab was a lightning rod. 8,000 backers before the day was out. I think the people at not just the Joe team at Hasbro, but the suits at Hasbro have paid attention. I think they need to be smart. You're using that tooling, you're using those molds. You're going to see one for them, one for the other. You're going to see Joe vehicles and Cobra vehicles, right? And we have that. You have the Cobra Ferret, you have the Tiger Paw, you have this one, you have that one. So you're going to see more, but I think it's going to be 2024, maybe late 2023. But I have a feeling we're going to see more vehicles for Joe. I don't know about Marvel. I don't know about Star Wars, man, because outside of swoop bikes and speeders, I think that's it. I think it's just too much plastic for that brand. Joe is young. Hasbro doesn't have to pay fees.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've got the Snow Speeder, but it's huge.
Yeah. I have the Snow Speeder too. I can't pull it out right now. It's
what?
There's
a 112 scale Snow Speeder.
Yeah.
for Black Series?
Yeah.
We just got Hans in the Black Series.
You're lying.
All right. Well,
I don't think it's available anymore, but
you can get a good deal though.
No.
Hans will make it work. There's a site called ebay.com.
Yeah, I was about to say, Hans, don't make me go to the other room and get the box because I will do that.
It was go dig out my Snow Speeder. It
was $120.
Yeah,
I think mine was more. I think mine was more than that, but
it must be the size of a table. It must be like
it's the size of a small table, but it's worth.
Hell, big.
All right.
Does it zoom? Can you zoom? Does it zoom?
We're about to find out. But
I want to see it zoom.
While KJ goes into improvs on here to help flesh out the look of the snow speeder. Matthew, why don't you tell us a tiny bit about Joe Restored, your blog there?
Okay, so it's a blog that I started last year after I finally decided, after 30 years of them languishing in my parents' attic, to see if I could restore my vintage Joe collection. And, I thought, why not? I do have an Instagram account, but I was like, that doesn't really allow me the detail in prose that I want. So I decided to do a blog. And so I basically, like I said, I've been doing it for a year. It was October of 2021. And, I've gone through and shown you the condition everything was in, what I've done to restore it, and talk about what it meant to me. Sometimes how I acquired it, how I played with it, and then also give a little bit of history about how it was portrayed in Marvel and Sunbow.
And doing things like restoring, like taking parts that are really sun faded and finding a way to get them looking pretty and blingy on the shelf again.
Yeah.
Things
So
like that.
I've had moderate success with that, thanks to Hans.
Mm-hmm.
Hans was my consultant on that. Of course, we found that the Battle Force 2000 stuff has been extremely resistant to those treatments. So I'm gonna have to build a better mousetrap.
Yeah. Better you than me, because I wasn't a big Battle Force 2000 guy, even if I had a couple of figures as a kid. So just want to pull up Articulated Chad's comment here that he says Joe isn't young or emerging, and it saved Joe Hasbro from going under 3 times. And that's the thing, right? I know that it was said just a few moments ago that it's youngish, but like I think what it is it still feels a little bit new and a bit greenfield to go back to it, because it lay dormant quite a bit for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's been around since 1964. It's been around since before He-Man, before Transformers, and yes, it saved Joe. It saved Hasbro then. It saved Hasbro again in '82. But when the war theme didn't carry on, it kind of took a back seat. Transformers went to the forefront. Marvel went to the forefront. Star Wars went to the forefront, and now we're seeing a circle back towards Joe in the recent couple of years or so. So yeah. Oh, hello, Hung Wen. I usually see you in the GDL Toy Geek, so I'll probably see you in that live chat tonight. And yes, in the 112 scale, they will do some medium-sized vehicles, and that looks like the Hiss will be the start of them. And I know today's discussion won't all just be 112 Black Series and classified. We will talk some vintage stuff as well, and I've got a couple photos to bring up here. But Hans, I haven't gotten your opening thoughts yet on what gives you the excitement. Well,
I'm looking at this 112 scale snow speeder.
Oh, okay. So you've got a little bit of recency bias. So KJ is about to throw it up on camera.
Okay. I thought it was going to be like huge, but it's like a side table. Does it fit 2 dudes?
Yes. So let's pop this open.
How old is this? 2 years? 3 years?
About 2 years. Yeah. So I'd say 2020. So like just getting my way back into it. Yeah.
I mean, that means an X-Wing is not really like a problem. I mean, it'll be more expensive, obviously, but a $250 X-Wing wouldn't be far off.
They would have to be smart about putting it together. Man, I do not want to break this. I feel like... All right. But
don't worry about it. I'll trust you. The 2 dudes in there, right?
Yeah, you can see 2 dudes.
Look at the little battle damage. And this was a retail thing. You could have gone into a store and bought this.
No, this was a Pulse. I didn't see it anywhere else. I didn't see anywhere else but Pulse. And it's been ages
and everything it sees.
So just as an example, paneling comes off.
That's that detail.
Wow.
Yeah, it's has landing gears, so you can retract stuff. You can bring it back down. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's amazing. And Matt, you got one too?
I do. It's still in the box though.
Do you remember how to pop it open? I don't want to break this. I feel like there's like
no. Leave it. It's fine. I'm amazed enough because because I was fascinated to hear that the sail barge was a thing as well.
Yeah, that one was meant for 3 3/4 though, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's
Has
huge.
it has the tow cable.
yep, the
All they
detail.
use to an 80-80, yeah?
Yeah.
A 112 scale 80-80. That'll be a table. That's the kind of thing I would ball out for, because you're gonna ask me what I preferred, right? If I preferred figures or vehicle
Yep.
place.
And I'm just
right?
gonna, and you can feel free to talk about that, but I just figured I haven't even put KJ on solo layout yet, so that he can kind of help wow us through this. This is like my favorite Star Wars vehicle, even if I don't have a vintage one.
That's the
But
kind
it's
of
just
thing
so
that
cool.
changes my religion with regards to what I was about to say. You know what I mean? Like, I was gonna say like figures hardcore all the time, but like that scene was so iconic that would have been a pickup.
Exactly. It's about emotional connection we have to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes for a GI Joe example, Super 7, they actually have like the Yeti guy that rescues Snake Eyes and like his Arctic sled with wolves. So if you're just a fan of that episode of Snake Eyes willing to sacrifice his life to save the other Joes, and it just so happens that was just the kindness of an Arctic stranger that saved his life in turn. Like stuff like that is what speaks to us, and so we get that stuff, right? So, but yeah, it's Empire Strikes Back. It's like blew people's minds. You're seeing Luke Skywalker like losing people left and right, loses his wingman right behind him. Like, this is war, man. This is like, you know, he got his lightsaber and he's taking out AT-ATs on his lonesome.
And that was before he trained with Yoda at that
Exactly.
in that scene. Like he had just gotten a little bit of training from Obi-Wan, and he's already having to, lead the resistance out there as the last of the Jedi,
That's
right?
his rookie year, right?
Rookie year,
This stuff
right?
This stuff is dope. It's like hopefully we see pod racers. Maybe we see more vehicles on 112 scale. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Black Series, when they did vehicles at first, it was 3 3/4. It was still Black Series, but they had ATSTs and stuff like that.
I recall them using the Black Series name as a more generic thing, more so than going to the 112 scale.
Yeah.
But I think they quickly transitioned that to the 6-inch scale.
Okay.
But that's a gorgeous thing. This is a great side discussion right here, because like Hans, I do want to get your thoughts on this, but I'm normally a figures and characters kind of person, because I find that's the personalities make things relatable for us as kids and now as adults. But when you see a vehicle that you just gravitate towards, you got to jump on it, right? I've been waiting to try to find a boxed snowspeeder from the original Kenner collection, because I just love that vehicle.
And at the same token, the Millennium Falcon that came out for Vintage Collection, the Galaxy's Edge Millennium Falcon, I just didn't have the space on it. There was at one point, it was on clearance, half off. So this $400 Falcon you could get for $200. It didn't matter, because as a collector, you're not just dealing with money as a commodity, time as a commodity, you're dealing with space as a commodity. No pun intended for Star Wars. So
Yeah.
I just couldn't grab that Millennium Falcon, as much as it pained me to skip, because it looked amazing. Come on.
Yeah, and I felt the same way about it. I saw it at Target one day and just looked at the box and was like, how am I going to get that in my car? I'm going to have to like fold the back seat down and put it in through the trunk.
Probably. I don't know. So Hans, you going to change your answer when I was going to ask, do you look forward to vehicles, figures, or some combination of the above more? That was going to be the question, but I think
it's definitely a comment. I don't own many vehicles, mainly because I never had access to that many vehicles. Where I live, I just had mostly figures, whatever the stores could bring down. Mostly also when I watch the shows, it was figures. So it's figures regardless of whatever it was. I mean, and right above them really is play sets more than vehicles. I never really had much of either of the large things. So most of my play sets involved disassembling my family couch and putting the pillows in, a good order. I still do that with my kids, much to my wife's disapproval. But I don't care. I bought the couch. It's mine. I do what I want. Anyway, she's going to fight with me about that later. Anyway, but yeah, for me, it's figures, play sets, then vehicles come after. Space certainly is an issue, but I tend to be fairly tactical about what I buy. So I don't just be like, yeah, well, everything. And I don't have that strange issue where I buy multiple lines. I'm pretty streamlined into like 2 things. So I'm and it's about to become one thing for a couple months. And I think that's financially responsible because, once again, my kids also want toys, and I only really get the value when I play with them. So you play with, they like G.I. Joe, and I'm sad because there's no series for them to see, and they've already watched out Renegades. So mostly they play with my G.I. Joes, and yeah, there we are. And then of course, it's an exchange program. I have to play Paw Patrol.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember those days.
Those classic G.I. Joe episodes are on YouTube, and they are delightful.
Oh, yeah.
And they're on Tubi TV as well. So, yeah.
They're shockingly into Sigma 6, which I still think was really, it wasn't meant for us, older folks, but I like it. I liked it even when it came out back then, and my kids love it now. They love Renegades. They are okay with the Sunbow episodes, but they understand that it is old. So they're kind of like, well, this is nice, but...
Well, we almost got to do a full episode just on G.I. Joe Resolute. I'd love to do that.
I can't show them that yet.
I know.
But they're into Earthspark. They like Earthspark.
Okay, that's cool.
For kids, it's for kids. So they're into that. T-Man, they're into the 2821 stuff as well. But yeah, for me, definitely figures, play sets, then vehicles.
For me, it was always the figures as well, just because, like, depending on what you collect, like, I mean, in the case of Transformers, that's why I'm on this wall today, because you kind of got the best of both worlds. But what do? Like most collectors, you display them in the robot mode, right? Not so much the vehicle mode, with a few exceptions. Now, I'm a wrestling collector. What do you really have other than, there's the one-off like Rec Cycle that KJ showed a moment ago. But you basically have a ring, maybe a cage, but it's all about the characters, wrestlers, and personalities. G.I. Joe and Star Wars were two of those lines where the vehicle was as important as the character, but a lot of the important scenes were the dialogue between the characters. So I've always been kind of a figures guy. I'm not sure, like, Matthew, maybe you got in on the RoboSkull last year, on the Mark II RoboSkull, but maybe a couple others got into it. Maybe, I don't know about KJ and Hans, but I hesitated because I didn't know where to put it. So I missed the good all-in, the best all-in buy. Because you know how the all-in package kept going up, the more stuff you got unlocked, which made the original all-in package a total steal. So I hesitated on that because it was mostly a vehicle, but as they started to unlock the 6-inch characters, I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna build myself a package for this thing. But I'm gonna share a screen right now. That is a bit of my conundrum and will lead into my next question. Like, look, how do I display these on a floor? Like, this is like everyone's out of the room. I pulled everything out of the way and I've taken a bit of time to set this up. It's hard with large vehicles, and I guess the mobile command center counts as a playset more so than a vehicle. But like, unless you have a lot of room and a lot of real estate, it gets really difficult with the larger vehicles. You know, even as something like a HISS tank, you could display that, or you could display like 15 Joes in its spot, and that's a HISS tank, let alone these two, right? So I don't know. I love the idea of vehicles. Love the concept of it. I love what it brings to the playability and showability of the collection. Yet at the same time, every time I buy one, I get the feeling that I'm sacrificing room for characters. You know,
those giant vehicles are really only. I mean, even the Rolling Thunder. I owned one when I was younger. Curse you, Mom, for getting rid of all my stuff. Anyway, but that was a base to me. It didn't roll. It was just thunder, honestly. And the same can be said for the MCV. And the only vehicles that got played with were about the size of the Awe Striker. That's what made the Hiss, the first one, to me, a better vehicle than the follow-ups, because it was for my tiny child hands, you know? And I think that I'd rather have 5 small vehicles than one giant one, even though some of the small vehicles, as can be seen with the Armadillo and the MCV garage there, you know, do facilitate the play value of the play set. But I do think that vehicles have their place and large sets have their place. But to the individuals who own the MCV and the flag and the this and the that, you know, that's a horrendous undertaking, not only with regards to space, but with regards to vintage collecting as well. And I mean, that's not a problem I'll ever have, thank God. So I unfortunately can't empathize with it a little bit. I can empathize with the lack of space, but it's because I'm not a completionist. I don't see the value in owning all to take up your whole room. You know what I mean? But I don't know if I'm making any kind of thing. You know what I mean? Small vehicles better.
Yeah, I generally, I could say I agree with you. And then you mentioned all the big play sets, and I go, well, how many of those did I grab over the last 20 years or so? There's these two, the Terrordrome, the flag, the 83 HQ, and every time a Defiant comes up for a decent price, I kind of mull over it. So I sit there and I'm like, I agree with everything Hans said, and then in practice, I don't follow any of it. So maybe
back up to the flag, back up to the.
That's my whole floor space. What he just listed there is every bit of floor space I have around me right now.
Yeah, it's like, do you live in a TARDIS, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, right? I mean, look, the MCC, the only way that fits in my display shelves is when I have it folded up. The Rolling Thunder, I measured the box, and between the top of my bookcase and if I put the box directly on top, between the top of the bookcase and the ceiling, there's about a half an inch of room. So I made sure I bought a Rolling Thunder with a box that I could slide it in sideways and tuck it above in that space. The 83 HQ, the flag, which I did a video on right when I started the channel, and the Terrordrome, all in storage. Roboskull, most likely in storage. The Mark II. Sky Striker, most likely going to go in storage, right? I got rid of a Night Raven thinking I was making room for something. Now I want a Night Raven back. So, I mean, like, it just doesn't end, right? Because, like, your passion is your passion, and it becomes, maybe I'm jumping ahead in the discussion a bit here. So, Hans, did you want to show us something?
No, I only have one large toy on display. F you, lighting.
We need
sun
lighting.
Providing us with light and garbage we don't need.
All hail the sun.
Yeah, this is the only large thing I have on display.
Oh, the Titan Triptychon.
Yeah, that's it. And he sits on his own table right next to my reading chair, which is full of Christmas presents for the kids, but don't tell them. Anyway, but that's the only thing I can afford to have on display. And once the space has been occupied, that's pretty much it. So until I liquidate that guy, I think there are two levels of collector, and one of them is the Pokemon collector, where you got to catch them all. Ooh. And then there's me, who's, I think, well, and I think a lot of people kind of follow that thing. And I think we have to be careful with what kind of collector we are and what kind of collector the businesses want us to be, because one of them is not practical, and because the only collector we should try to be is the one that we are, and not the one that someone else says that we should be. And so with regards to space, it doesn't become a concern as long as you remain loyal to who you are. If who you are is the guy who's got to own all the things, then you must be the terraformer, and your, room and your home and your potentially children and significant other must become that which you require them, which is, of course,
Okay.
small, aka they must fit in overhead compartments as you occupy all livable space with plastic, which you hopefully use to entertain them and yourself. Otherwise, at that point, it just becomes a liability, very expensive liability, and that's not,
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to stop.
He could give you, the economics of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chime in, Matt. Give me the math.
Yep. If you got anything to add, Matt.
No, I think you pretty much summed it up succinctly. So,
I mean, technically, Matt has his library, which we're seeing right now, which is a collection of knowledge and entertainment. I mean, that is what is valuable to him, and I applaud that, because my library is quite small. But at the same time, I'd like to think I'm still quite smart. Anyway, but
we're being outclassed by Matthew right here.
It's
But look, I have janky Snake Eyes movie figures, though. Look at that.
Hey, get some Mod Podge. Just get some Mod Podge. They'll take care of that. You guys don't know about Mod Podge? I'll talk to y'all about that later.
Sounds edible.
You can fix those joints.
Hey.
I guess everything's edible if you're brave enough.
Yeah.
Well said. And now that I got all you legends on screen, I know that Matthew, you're most likely coming to Joe Fest in June, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hans, I think you've.
Don't think it is done. I bought the ticket. I booked the room.
All right.
There.
KJ, any plans to join us?
Man hugs,
Oh,
well,
sorry.
short Chinese man hugs, but big arms, so strong.
I'm
Yeah.
shorter than you are, so don't worry about it. Right? I got a loud voice.
But... you in my arms like I would a child. I will hold you to my bosom, and I will love you as one of my own. But I will also steal your glasses and take a selfie with them before returning them.
And then people can mix us up yet again, right?
It's true. They think we look alike. That is the most. That's another talk, man. Anyway.
Yeah, and if you're going to Georgia, you're going to get even more of that. Sorry to say, but
yeah, I could pretty much say Hans is my twin brother, and people would believe me.
Yeah.
So it's gonna happen.
I'm waiting to bathe in it. Waiting to bathe in the cultures, you know.
I keep all my traveling pretty much to the state of California. When PowerCon left California, that stung.
Okay.
Because being in California, we talk about the cost of living going up, how it affects collecting, but how it affects being in California. I would have to stop collecting for a few months if it meant traveling. So we'll see how that goes.
I see.
I would love to go to Joe Fest one of these days. Joe is back stronger than ever. So, you know, if not next year, more than likely 24. And shoot, my Toy Kind of Mood bros and my Welcome to the Terradrome homies, they'll probably be there too. So we'll see how it goes.
I'd love to meet Romo and Sweeney and, you know, Travis and all those and everyone from that crew. So as it stands, I haven't booked a ticket yet, but apparently I'm going as a representative for Delta 17. So let's go. Got to make some plans with Steve.
Nice.
I've bled the blood for this one for 2023. So I don't know if I could bleed the blood for 2024 because this is a financial ordeal for me. I mean, I'll recover. I'm not, you know, Tiger King about this yet, but you know. I don't know, whatever. It'll be worth it. I might die after that. I don't know. So
try not to. Try not to.
I've been trying my best for the last 43 years, you know, and I've just been successful so far. But you know.
All good.
One day life might get the better of me. Not yet, though.
Stay around for a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that.
Are the tickets even available yet?
Flight tickets probably are, and hotel probably is. But
flight.
The actual Joe. Oh, there's an attendance ticket on top of all that? Because I know we booked a vendor space.
No, that's not available yet. Available.
I mean, so the dates June 9 to the 11th, 2023. I would be surprised if tickets are not available right now. Let's take a look and see.
Yeah. I
know the
if I
hotel
remember correctly, last year it was like December that they made the event tickets available, and they also have a discount link for the hotel room.
Shoot, at this point, it might be cheaper to me.
I told you to wait, but you didn't listen.
I don't listen. I'm Chinese. I have small eyes and smaller ears.
Anywho, yeah, whenever you can save a deal, if you can get discounts, hotel discounts, I'd say go for it. I may have to go the vendor route myself if it means getting an avenue in. You can get myself. I got stuff that I can sell. Yeah.
All right.
The store. Yeah.
All right. Make it happen, KJ.
Let's take off my shirt and sell my body.
All the time spent at the gym and all the protein shakes, right?
Seriously, after this, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some protein shakes after rolling with Hans and be like, okay, yeah, Premier Protein, let's go.
I just gave up. Just go straight for the beer and the buffet. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm. So I mean,
we from the north. You got to put on those pounds so that you don't freeze to death during the cold and harsh winters.
All right, I'll make that my excuse. So, I want to know from you, gentlemen, do vehicles, and maybe we've already answered this question. Excuse me. Do vehicles occupy too much space, and do you have a creative way to display them, or do you just give up and sell something else? KJ, we'll go back to you.
All right, so sometimes I'll keep stuff in box because it looks that good. Here's the retro Batman, for example, from McLaughlin's 66 line. And just because I like the packaging so very much, it just stays in box right now. I would have to buy a second one to actually put the figures in. And yeah, the space is always a concern. So what I do is sometimes I'll take some of these boxes and I will put vehicles inside. Here's another example. So this one's zagged nice to keep dust off of it. This is what people refer to as the Costco Batmobile. It's from Spin Master, and it is a box. It is a box on wheels, but it's compatible with McLaughlin 7-inch scale. It's compatible if you have your old DC Direct, DC Collectibles 6-inch line, the figures from Mattel from back in the day. So you can just use this, and you can use this for photos. If you go to my Instagram, Black Genghis, you can see some of the photos I took with, like Superman standing on the Batmobile and Batman looking him in the eye, just recreating that shot, right? With Batman, with DC, conveyances, vehicles are an important part of it, right? So the Batwing from Superpowers. I got this into the Superpowers line because I had to get that Batwing. And the Supermobile with the fist. It's just fun. So you make room, you make space. And I would suggest for you, gentlemen, have a play day. That's what I got from Robo on Whoosh. Play days. So I'll have days where I have a Bratz car. Let's take some photos. I'll put them up on my Instagram. I'll put them up on Facebook. Let's get some Joe play day. Let's get a Marvel Avengers play day. Let's get Daredevil fighting ninjas. And that's just my day. If you have kids, bring the kids into it, but maybe use like the kitty figs, like the big figs you get from Big Lots or the dollar store toys, that kind of stuff. And get your family involved with it. Get your kids involved with it. If you want them to play Joe, exactly. Get some of the big safe to play toys, that kind of stuff. Don't get out the crazy figure or, like the really high-end scale stuff. That can wait for later. But have themed days. So for this wrecking rig, if I want to do the get out of there thing, right, then I'm just going to just have that rig for the day. And I'm just going to have vehicles hilariously tossing civilians out, or Vipers peering around the corner, that kind of stuff, or Joes being pinned down and bullet ricochet effects from super action stuff, or stuff like that. So I would say, pick your day, pick the theme, stick with it, put everything up, and get the kids involved to it. Let the kids have fun putting everything up for you, that kind of thing.
All right. Actually gives me a lot to think about, and I didn't realize that Robo from the Force said some of that. But
he has play days all the time. Well, he'll have I'm just going to have a 3D day, or I'm going to have a Star Wars day, that kind of stuff.
All right. Comstock, what are you thinking?
I haven't gotten to that point yet because everything is still in the process of being restored. So when I think about my process, so I've done all this work to clean everything up. I still have the figures where I have to replace O-rings. I don't think that's going to be nearly as hard as trying to figure out how do I display all this stuff.
All right. So basically it's figure it out later kind of thing, right? Like restore it. That's priority one. And then if there's room to display it, great. If not, improv.
Exactly. I'm looking to you guys for guidance.
All right. So good day to have you on, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. No one said hang it from the ceiling yet. Or Anyway. Hans, I'm gonna throw this one to you. Creative ways to display.
If I drill holes in my ceiling to hang planes, my wife would be in here with my shotgun, putting two in my knees. Everything needs to be mobile, kind of thing. But as I said, I like to keep my collection very neat and very small. The things I don't need, I liquidate. And there's an active toy community down here, and there's also many orphanages. So I like to keep things as good as possible. I have one cabinet where I display a lot of the miniatures I've built and painted and whatever, as well as a few select very important figures, usually G.I. Joe stuff. I have some shelf space over there. I'm sorry, Perioculus Dragon Ball Z. Time to get dizzy again. So that's my entire Transformers collection then. That's it. God damn it. All right,
you'll get a few more.
I mean, eventually. I mean, aside from Triptychon over there. And then this is the cabinet where I keep all the stuff. So that's miniatures. More miniatures. That's the G.I. Joe collection. That's just the G.I. Joe vehicles there, along with the two Exo Squad vehicles.
I was going to say Exo Squad.
Yeah. And some and some miscellaneous. And well, I play Star Wars Armada, so that's the Armada fleet. I don't want to show you the bottom part because it's shameful. But anyway, but yeah, that's in essence pretty much the entirety of my collection that is on display. All the play stuff is in bins. So that way, when playtime comes, you fling open the bin and go to town with the kids. But I do keep the accessories in a small box. And then the law is that the accessories go there you go. That's pretty much it, like little bins. The Lego is the same scenario. It's all in bins.
No, I see Iron Man, I see Marvel Legends, I see a bunch of stuff.
It's a toy world after all. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah,
that's kind of how it goes. I'm kind of I don't want to use the word OCD because I think that word is abused, but I do like to be neat. And I don't like my stuff all over the place for me to potentially forget it or whatever, because I will forget it. I'm getting old and I know my mind is getting smoother. The brain is losing the ridges, which is apparently responsible for memory. So everything else is just in these cupboards here behind me in a fairly organized fashion. I know where everything is. And that's pretty much it. That's how I roll. I think it's, I'm going to quote Michael Mercy and many other toy collectors when I say this. It's like your toy collection should never really cause you agony. And cataloging stuff is, I kind of do that at work. And I don't want to do it at home too. When I come home, I just want to play. I just want to dump my stuff out and say, all right, guys, let's play, and grab the kids and we play. And that's pretty much it. Toys should not be a selfish thing. And my kids have really rekindled that for me, and it's a really big deal. It's a really big deal to me for them to be able to enjoy it as well. As soon as my son finishes being a potato in a year or two and organizes that higher brain function scenario, he gets to play with my more advanced stuff. With my daughter, she's top class stuff, man. And now we're actually doing that thing that I used to do with my brother when we were young, where we whip out the toy catalogs and it's like, right, I'm going to ask mom for this one, and you'll ask her for this one. And at the end of the year, we'll have all of them. Fist pump. You know what I mean? So that's the display mechanisms that I've got going right now. Just that stuff. They have their own room, which I help them organize. And I've trained my daughter and my son to put it up, and it's quite fancy, right? But they're kids still, so technically I also have their rooms to display their stuff.
So basically what you're saying is you kind of expanded the man cave through levels of influence.
I may have indoctrinated them, maybe.
All right,
which kind of makes this sound more insidious than it is. Or is it?
Leave that hanging out
number our wife 3-1. The takeover is in 2023.
I like the idea of that. All in favor, say aye. Right.
Aye.
The whole thing about and there's a few comments in the chat right now about hanging them from the ceiling. I did that back when Toy Biz had their Lord of the Rings line. I'm going way back to the 2000s now, right? And the is it the Fell Beast that the Ring Wraith would, yeah, like the Nazgul were on. Like I actually hung one of those from the ceiling. So when you went into the den room of my old home, because back then I had just a dedicated room for toys, which I don't anymore. I had a dedicated room for toys in my old condo, and when you came in and you looked up, there was a Fell Beast looking at you as you came in, hanging, and a Nazgul, a Ring Wraith, sitting on it. And I don't know why it was the only thing I ever hung from the ceiling. Maybe because there were carpeted floors in that room. So if it hit the ground, and it wasn't as expensive a toy at the time, so it was okay if it broke. But if you're handy with hanging stuff from the ceiling, you could get creative with Sky Strikers, Rattlers, but then you can't play with them at eye level, right? And then you got to get up and you got to dust them off. Like every now and then I had to dust off that Ring Wraith on the Beast. So I don't know. It's kind of how I thought about things. Otherwise, I just run out of space and just cram everything tighter and tighter together. And if there's something that I realize that I don't like anymore and just really want to get rid of, I'll put it on my booth at the toy shows. So, but that happens less and less, and the cramming of figures, vehicles, etc., just gets more and more, and the cramming of storage just gets more and more. So, if the day comes where I can just say I'm not going to buy toys for a whole year, I'd be. It sounds like a great goal until something that you must have comes to mind.
I want to touch on that topic of must have really quickly. So when it comes to like the vehicles, the HasLab his tank was like I never pushed that button so fast. I had to fight my brain from getting 2 of them. I know people that's gotten 5 of them, right? So when you talk about space or family time, that kind of stuff, like all that stuff has to factor in all at once. So I would say there's no such thing as a must need. Like, we don't need any of this stuff. There's a part of our souls that does, as far as reconnecting to our childhood or the things that we find fun, the things that are inspiring to us. Sure. But a lot of us have collections that if we were to stop right here and now today, they'd be bomb-ass collections still, right? And you could either
I feel that way.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
One of my maxims I use, and I'll just show this to you guys. Like, I put this literally right next to my desk to remind me that I have projects that I'm working on. I have things that I'm building. I have customs that I'm doing. I have dioramas and photos that I want to do entire series of, right? So before I get that next, hypothetical, let's say they come out with the Mauler, they come out with Striker, that kind of stuff. Let me just use what I have now before I get that other thing. So there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I made out like a bandit this past Thanksgiving because like I was not getting Joe's. I just couldn't at the time. But then you had the Viper pack for $60, Kamakura's $20, this one, that one. Like, I have never bought this many. I'm just having a field day right now. Sarge, the Crimson Twins, Python Patrol, Tiger Force. It's amazing. And I saved so much money because I just waited and I just played with the toys I already had, right? So it's just, I'm on a different stream as far as collecting goes. And so this ended up paying off this holiday, just rocking what I got.
He's on a different stream. He's not on his stream. He's on Ken's stream.
There we go. There we go. But I did want to say hello because Travis Moody dropped into the chat, and we did put the Toy Kind of Mood link in the description below, so you can subscribe there. Anthony Romo, who's in the chat, and Ryan Sweeney are all frequenters of that stream as well, as far as guest hosts and hosting that, along with KJ, Bobby, and Travis. So yeah, the whole rock what you got thing, that's part of the reason why I built the channel, because I have this acquisition. I mean, look around, look at every video I put up. I have a bit of an acquisition problem, right? Like, when I said I was done, because my goal was every Transformers character that appeared in the Generation 1 cartoon. Sorry, every transforming Transformers character. So not necessarily every cameo of non-transformable robots. When I got to the end of that, well, what happens? There's a really great Japanese series out there. There's some cool South American exclusive mini bots. There's some more of this, some more of that. And I'm like, let me stop, smell the roses a little, make a video about this one and this one and this one. And again, like you said, rock what you've got. And I realized this was an outlet to be able to do that. But at the same time, then comes, well, I've got all the figures from that set except this one, and I really want to do a video. So I'll just buy that one. I'll never make the money back from ad revenue because ad revenue is pretty small on YouTube. And then have I kind of dug myself a deeper hole now, because I wanted to kind of pimp what I got. And then all of a sudden now I'm buying more so I can complete the set and then make a video, right? I don't know. It's a vicious cycle and a labor of love. Yeah. And I'm talking about not just toy tubing, but also collecting in general.
I never want to talk collectors out of stopping their collection. I recommend using price trackers like Honey extension on your browser or Camel. I set a price and I don't budge until that price is met, right? That's how I was able to get Viper Pack for 64. That's how I was able to get that Joe, that Transformer, and everything else. Oh my goodness, deep discount. It's a store in the States where you can get old school DVDs, books, Blu-rays, that kind of stuff. But they have a discount bin that was ridiculous sales. I ended up getting $100 Suicide Squad collector's box for $25. It was insane. And I was able to finally like use their munitions pack for like characters like Peacemaker, Harley Quinn, that kind of stuff, King Shark, that kind of thing, right? And that's how I'm able to save money. Because I buy so many lines, I have to save money on other different brands. When it comes to like, I was going to get everything Transformers the movie, right? Ironhide was like $34. I refused to pay that for what I was paying $19.99 for everything else. It went on sale at Target. I got it for $20, and it's around here somewhere. I had it, and then I got that snow speeder, so now everything's like being blocked and everything else. Right?
That's my fault. Sorry, man.
No, that's fine. It was totally worth it. I hope I didn't damage my action figures dumping them out of the bin. Like it was a funny gag, but it's fine. So long story short, like I said with those theme days, with the vehicles take up space. I put them in boxes. Boxes can stack on top of each other, right? So I don't have like Batmobile, Bratz car, that kind of stuff. I put them in boxes. I wrap them in plastic first to keep dust off of them. Then I put them in boxes, and then I stack them off somewhere off to the side. And once I get the his tank, I don't know if I'll be able to get like a HasLab Wolverine or a HasLab MBT or anything like that, right? Because just of space, it may stop at RoboSkull and his tank for a while until I move, right? Just because I can't store anything else, and that hurts. You don't want choices made for you. You want to be active in your collection to be like, this is a stopping point that I'm choosing. Oh man, they have Tiger Force Shipwreck and Tiger Force Beachhead, but I have to stop right now. So.
I don't know if anyone else wants to weigh in on that, but I was thinking the whole idea about moving. I would love to kind of upsize to a place where I could have a larger display area, but then of course that means more living expenses, more living bills. And I was just looking at housing prices and going, well, I've got a fair bit of display space, but it's not proportionate to my passion and what I want to display. Like I want 3, 4, 5 times the space that I have, right? So, but if I upsize, then you're paying sort of like living expenses and mortgage that much longer in life. You'll have less disposable income for the toys you want to buy. Then one day you wake up, and unless I kick the bucket before then, you go, I'm 70 years old and I've got all this plastic lying around. So
7 years old is fine.
7's okay.
We're all like 7 mentally.
We're all like 7, but 70 years old, and all of a sudden being like, I got all this plastic lying around. What do I do? Did I get enough out of it? Or was it all about just chasing a guilty pleasure all this time? I'm not sure where I've been collecting so long, and I still haven't figured out that answer, and I don't think I ever will. Like I said, it's a labor of love.
I think once the love and the passion doesn't become a lust, because the lust is the contortion of the virtue, yeah? So once it doesn't become a lust, and you remember the need to possess and the need to have and the need to own can be easily turned into something horrible. And I've never even thought about what you two gentlemen just said. Is like, I should move house to make room for more of this stuff. Like I think at that point there's like, okay, so you, Mr. Ken, and Michael Mercy, and I had a brain, but it's left me. Anyway, you guys, you all have very large collections. But your collections are more akin to almost a repository of information, almost a museum. Oh, you articulated chat. You'll never escape. I've seen your collection. Anyway, you more have a museum to speak of, and that can, to display that for the benefit of other people. For a gentleman like me, for example, I've never seen a flag. I've never seen a terradrome. I've never seen a night raver. I've never seen any of the anythings. And right, so to me, to actually go, not to touch, but to certainly look and be like, wow, this is something that is amazing. You know, at that point, it becomes you're reciprocating the love that you poured into the hobby. And if you reciprocate that love, it no longer is a lust because you're now giving. So if y'all can synthesize that passion into an act of giving, like a YouTube channel and whatnot, showcasing the things that have been denied to other people, at that point, it is no longer something that becomes a problem, even if storage becomes an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that once there's a good feeling and vibe that comes and it benefits the community itself, you can then kind of justify the position that you've taken with regards to the large collections that you gentlemen have, rather than simply the act of owning. It becomes an act of, well, I'm doing this for the betterment of others as well as myself. Others first, me after.
I'm glad you brought that up and the examples of other people with collection displays, because I've said this a few times and I'm going to continue saying it over the years, and hopefully people don't get sick of it. I always wanted this social media outlet, this channel of mine, to kind of be a little bit of that archive that, you know, you could pick up bits of information, right? So that it is for everybody else. You know, one day I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. And if I've left kind of a trail, you know, an accessible back catalog trail, and I backed everything up, like most of my produced videos are on an extra drive in case, you know, one day YouTube goes kaput and I got to re-upload something everywhere else. I want that repository of information to be available for other people, because the most fulfilling thing I get is when someone goes, I didn't know this happened. I didn't know about this. Like, Hans, you commented on my Dark Side of Duke video and basically said, no, I didn't know about this deep history of when Duke went into Black Ops, came back to G.I. Joe when it was reformed, and then came back as a different person altogether, and it kind of leveled up the playing field for him. Or last week when I did my Optimus Prime War Within video about the story about how he questioned the Autobot cause and was like, is this planet worth fighting for? And he goes through 6 issues before he realizes, okay, I'm going to be the Autobots leader, right? Or tidbits of information in history videos, like when me and Phil from Treasures for Trigger did the Transformers 1987 video. Like, yeah, all that information's out there, but had it been curated in a fashion that could be conducive to everyone else's like learning, because I just love this stuff. I love the research, right? If I could have a PhD in something, it would be in the history of the toys we grew up with, right? So you're right. A lot of it is turning around and just showing it to other people for the sake of their benefit, like to help our hobby live on, right? Like if our hobby goes past our generation and I had even, you know, 0.001% to do with it, I've succeeded in my mind, right? You know, maybe it's kind of a cheesy thing to say, right? But if I go into my casket knowing that I made somebody else's collecting experience better, right? Or prolong the hobby a little, it's kind of nice, right?
If you go into your casket knowing anything, you're being buried prematurely and should probably say help.
I can't breathe.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
Yeah, there's claw marks on that casket somewhere. If you're still that,
yeah, that's true. I'm sitting there going, I haven't finished that LJN series wrestling video yet. Let me the hell out. I gotta make it before you put. Then you can put me back under. Oh my god, can't believe we went that route. Okay, thankfully I still had one more question for the panel before I went off on this weird side journey there. All right. There's often vehicles and figures you associate closely with each other. Clutch with the Vamp, AT-AT with the AT-AT driver. I know I put the Hoth version of Luke with the Snowspeeder on the thumbnail, and I know they didn't come out together in that way. But have you ever? Does it feel odd to you if you've ever collected the vehicle without the driver or the driver without the vehicle? Let's go back in the clockwise fashion here, KJ.
Man, All right. So I remember there was one fan stream where it may have been Tony from the Joe team, who's one of the painters. And he was talking about, yeah, I'll take the Stinger driver, even though we don't have the Stinger. I was like, no, I don't want the Stinger driver without the Stinger. For vehicles, it's tricky, man. Like here, for example, let me pull out this Batmobile again. Figures sold separately, right? Like if I wanted to just have a one-off, I guess I could say like, yeah, let me just go get the Batmobile. Nah. Batmobile, and just leave it at that, and just have it on my table somewhere. The Snowspeeder, no, they don't even give you Luke. You know what they give you? They give you the co-pilot. You have to go get Luke to get that vintage collection. I was able to get a TIE Fighter. It came with the pilot. I got the X-Wing, no Astromech, no Luke. And for the longest time, it just created this itch in my brain where I'm like, I got to get that R2-D2. I got to get Luke, right? And you could say the same thing about Poe Dameron, Wedge Antilles. I don't know if they ever made Antok Merrick's X-Wing from Rogue One. I know they have the character and they have that in vintage collection. I don't know if they may have, but the point is, you have to be either a very strong-minded individual or just crazy to have the vehicle without the driver, the pilot, or to have the driver pilot without the vehicle. If I just had clutch, I would go down to Foam Mart or Michael's or something. I'd get an X-Acto knife and some spray paint, and I would make a vamp to go with that clutch. Like if Hasbro just wouldn't give me one, I'll be like, let me go on YouTube, let me find a tutorial, let me get some RC wheels, and let me make a vamp. Right? So,
I've seen them. I have seen larger scale vamps done through 3D printer. My buddy Mark, one of the patrons of the channel, he's done one.
Yeah,
right? He might be watching. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But, all right. Comstock, what do you think? They always got to go together, or?
Yeah, I think we've seen them in too many forms of media. Subconsciously, it's been beat into us that Clutch has got to drive the Vamp and CoverGirl's got to drive the Wolverine.
All right.
And I was always more realistic in my playtime with the vehicles. Even though we saw everybody in the Sunbow show could fly a Sky Striker, I knew that wasn't the case. So Ace was always flying my Sky Striker, and I might have Lady J as a co-pilot because of that one. I think it was issue 34 where they end up taking on Wild Weasel and the Baroness. But yeah, I think there's the bond is too strong for you to collect the vehicles without the drivers or vice versa. No, I think even when figures that previously had a vehicle are released on their own, and it might be a completely new version, still to me that doesn't have the same pull as when, like, I wouldn't want a different version of Wild Bill if he doesn't come with the Dragonfly.
I'll take Wild Bill. They're releasing CoverGirl before the Wolverine. I'm grabbing that CoverGirl. Shout out to my dude Yojo ARAH Giles Gifford, who got me this Emma Frost head sculpt so I could make the Sunbow pilot.
Yes,
nice.
In the miniseries CoverGirl. But like I have this CoverGirl. I haven't made a Wolverine yet. Like I could get a Wolverine probably from Pixie's Designs, King Grimlock, or this place, that place, right? But no. I wouldn't say that's for me. I wouldn't say that's a bad choice. Get CoverGirl. Get Wild Bill, dude. We'll get those Skyhawks. We'll get the Dragonfly. It's gonna take time. This isn't year 20 like it is for Marvel Legends, or year 40 like it is for Star Wars action figures in total. It's gonna take some time for classified series. Even though
I still bought the classified CoverGirl. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Because I think the possibility of us getting vehicles on that scale is probably still, it's going to be a HasLab every time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm thinking more about the 118 3 3/4 scale. Okay. Like if there was, a person, like say there was another version of Wild Bill, I think there was another version, maybe in the early 90s that didn't come with the Dragonfly. That would just be odd to me. On the classified scale, to me, it's not odd because we just don't have the vehicles yet. So
yeah, because they're kind of rebooting / refreshing, right? So okay. Hans, what about you? How do you feel?
The decision I made to purchase CoverGirl did not come from my cranium. nor did it come from the cranium of any man who purchased CoverGirl.
Okay.
Oh, she didn't come with a Wolverine. The big D does not care. Buy that figure. But no, I don't buy pilots without vehicles, mainly because the pilots never spoke to me. Wild Bill, CoverGirl, and Wild Weasel would probably be the 3 exceptions to the rule. Copperhead, whatever. I can't think of any others. Thrasher from the Dreadnoks, nice belly shirt, dude. It never really spoke to me. CoverGirl, I could see her driving anything. I can see her driving nothing. I can see her in anything and see her in nothing, all at the same time in my head. I can do the same with Wild Bill because I am not a sexist. And I can do the same with Wild Weasel, though I'll still picture him in the helmet because I don't know what his face looks like. But I imagine he's probably...
He's the Mandalorian.
There you go. He's the Mandalorian.
Din Djarin.
So, yeah. That's
Take it off and you see Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, there you go. You know what? That's it. That's next time. That's what I'm getting. Pedro Pascal's head sculpt, boop, from the Mandalorian on my Wild Weasel, which I don't own. Regardless, yes, that's how I feel. I feel that drivers without vehicles are unnecessary, with the 3 exceptions I've mentioned before. Star Wars is also kind of almost irrelevant because I don't care too much about TIE fighters or X-Wing pilots or whatever. Poe Dameron, I did get him but I hated those movies. I don't know why I bought that figure. But anyway, yeah, I bought Poe Dameron. I don't know why. I bought Ray too. Okay. I don't know why. But in the 118 scale, because Chinese must be able to fit an easy space for economics of room. That's how I feel about that. But no, unnecessary. Short answer.
At least you can do a Chinese accent. Sorry, Kevin. At least you can do a Chinese accent. Now. I tried.
Oh, I love my country.
I tried once to pretend I didn't know English to avoid a situation and tried to fake one of those no English kind of accents. And the person was like, "Yeah, it's too obvious. You don't sound like you literally sound like you're faking an accent." And I'm like, God damn it. All right, I'll just do the donation that you want. Like, it's literally
an African accent one time.
Just call them a racist and move on.
Sorry, you wanted to say something, KJ?
Yeah. So like with the new Jazzwares Micro Galaxy, which may or may not be in scale with your Armada miniatures, right? Like maybe this is a bad example, but they come with like little micro figurines of the characters like Millennium Falcon, Boba Fett, Slave One, that kind of thing. But if they just an extreme example for scales, if those didn't come with the figures, that would just be messed up. To be like, oh, you're just trying to make me spend more money. So sometimes economically, there's no difference. Just give us the figures with the vehicles, right? Yeah, 1/12 scale. 1/6 scale. Shout out to my Hot Toys people out there who have $2,000 for a Dark Knight tumbler in 1/6 scale, or the Bat, or something like that, right? Whoa. Getting Lamborghinis. There's like an 18 van that's in 1/6 scale, right? But it's like $2,000, $3,000. So, but you're not gonna get you're not gonna get figures with those. You get those because you want the vehicles, right? Like you're not gonna get an Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds and it's going to have a Nicolas Cage figure. It's just sometimes the vehicles are that much of the star of the show.
I'm just going to go out there and say it. I find the Millennium Falcon always looks stupid. I always look stupid. Now I got one because it's like I got all the other vehicles in Lego, because I can't say that anti-vehicle rant and then go on this nonsense rant. So I got it in Lego, and I was like, well, there's nothing else. Children, do you want to build a Millennium Falcon? And then my son said, I don't know what that is. And my daughter said, it's a ship from Star Wars. And we said, okay. And then they built it. And my son said the one thing that we all know, it looks like a magnet. Anyway, and that's how that goes.
I missed a little bit, but we did talk a bit about the Hiss tank, and that was one of those that I backed it and then decided to pull my pledge later on. I whined to, basically that's what I did. Hold that pose.
should have flippin' followed my own advice, unzipped my fly and whipped it out and just given Gazz or Matt the money to get a his tank. And I regret that. This is not buyer's remorse. This is like some Holocaust level, sadness. Because every time I see it, I'm like, I'm not going to get that. I have nowhere to put it. I'm not going to play with it. And then I think to myself, like, you fool. What have you done? But you know what, man? Here we are.
But you said you did back one.
Listen, no.
Okay.
You definitely, you see, now you're mixing me up with you because you did back one and you stopped. And then you were looking in the mirror, probably having that conversation, thinking to yourself, I'm not going to back it. This is terrible. I feel like I'm talking to Hans because it's a mirror, a black mirror, black shirt. Yeah.
So do you still have relatives in Canada that can take a shipment?
I don't have any relatives in Canada.
Okay. Because
do I? Shoot, I do. Oh, I haven't missed them Merry Christmas in about a decade.
Ace in the cards.
Because Mike from eCollectibles has some at a decent price in Canadian, right? He's ordered a bunch, and you can still get them through him for minimal markup compared to what it would be. Like shipped, it would come out to about 500 Canadian if you'd gotten it through Hasbro. But Mike has them for $650, so it's Canadian, right? So minus 30 or 35% for US dollars. By comparison, it's not that bad. He will ship that for free at that price within Canada.
I'll have to see.
So go there.
I'll have to see if I can make another arrangement with him.
Yeah, see,
because I'm a sexy man.
We all know that. Like,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm one of those guys who is like, there you go. When in doubt,
hold that pose, KJ.
It'll find its way into my arms one way or another if it is meant to be mine, and if it is not meant to be mine, then it shall not, and that is how that is. I don't have FOMO. FOMO is the death of a collector's morality.
I started to get a bit of FOMO, and the reason I put this question out there was that I would have been happy to get some of the drivers, and some of the figures with that, and I do have a friend out there who said to me that he doesn't want his he doesn't need the his female driver nor the tactician. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take them both off your hands, and that'll get me a part of the his tank that I'll at least have backed that HasLab partially through secondary means. Does it mean I get the tank? No. Does it mean I get the main driver? Does it mean I get the Mickey Commander? No. But I didn't need the Mickey Commander. That was the one I needed the least out of all of them.
You're gonna regret giving away that female commander. One head swap with Baroness, one head swap with anybody else, and you have a. Anyway, Waffle, let me not deny you your driver. Let me not.
Well, that's why I'm hoping he's not listening to this right now.
Sprinkle any ideas into people's brains.
Yeah, because he hasn't sold it to me yet because it hasn't come in yet. So,
hey, Hans, not to tempt you, but $650 Canadian is $482 US right now.
Right. And it was what? It was $350 US, then you add shipping and you add tax and all that, right? And shipping to where he is would have been a lot. So I don't know.
374 of my Mickey Mouse dollars, which is not bad.
See? There you go. Right. I was tempted to ask him for one as well, but then it's a lot of space. Right.
Yeah, it's a hit. It's a hit you have to take, but I think if there's a hit you have to take, for me, at least, the hiss is a worthy hit to take.
All right.
Because it's not like they're selling me a goddamn trouble bubble. It's a hiss. Like, I'm always going to call it trouble bubble. Flight Pod does not. They wanted to call it a trouble bubble.
Trouble bubble, that's what it's going to be known in the streets. It's going to be a trouble bubble. People know.
It's a trio of trouble bubbles.
Well, I got to the end of my question series, so at this point we've got a bit of time for kind of an open forum if anybody wants to plug anything.
Well, I want to talk to you guys about FOMO and regret just for a second, because I try not to have regrets. I let FOMO push me into one too many purchases, and I should try not to let that happen. With the Galactus, I had to just move on. It's be like, I don't have the space. I'm not getting the Mezco Fantastic Four. I don't have a complete Marvel Legends team. Let me just move on. The Sentinel hurt. I could have gotten 2 Sentinels, and it was like, let me just not do it right now. I love X-Men. I have a lot of X-Men figures. It would have been great, but I just don't have the space for it right now. Getting that Sentinel probably would have meant like caving in one of my collections. Basically, like I have to stop collecting this because now I have Sentinel, and now I'm only doing this. So the person who's only doing Marvel Legends, like that makes sense to be like, let me get 3 Sentinels, right? The person who's only doing Joe, yeah, let me get 5 his takes. Because I'm doing Masters of the Universe, because I get Mezco, because I get DC, I get Star Wars, right? I get Funko Pops. I had to be very choosy. So I try to supplant that fear of missing out with, like I said, with the enjoyment I have in all the other groups and all the other collections, right? You had to shift your focus sometimes, and you had to keep social media from redirecting that focus, and even the manufacturer to be like, get this, pre-order this, isn't this great? And be like, no, I'm going to go ahead and get this. And you kind of have to already have your mind made up beforehand. You want that Sentinel, get that Sentinel, man. You want that his tank, get it. Don't feel about guilty pleasure. There's no such thing as guilty pleasures, just the pleasures of guilty people. And we are not guilty. We are the chosen few who have decided to pursue our passion to the fullest extent by our means. And there is nothing guilty about that, sir. In fact, hold on a second. So I'm a black action figure collector. So when I get these figurines, they mean something to me. Like, it's not just me showing off for the gram or anything like that. Like, it's because it speaks to my soul in a way where it's like, you know, like for that kid who wasn't seen or couldn't find something that represented him or her in their collection. So it's not just a piece of plastic on cardboard for me. It's a touchstone. It's that Jody LaForge Funko Pop that was like my woo-saw totem that got me through that rough day at work. To be like, no, I can still summon the best parts of myself and push on forward, no matter what's going on. So I think we approach it at a different level. So next time a big ticket purchase comes like that, if you're not able to afford it, don't get it. If you don't have the space for it, walk on by, move along. But if you can get it, get it. Get it. And don't worry about aftermarket prices. Don't worry about having to make a deal, waiting on a raffle on Instagram or something like that. Just get it. And add it to your collection. You'll figure it out later, you know, like bag up some figs. Your mitten box, man, you don't have to be mitten box for everything. Pick a brand, make it loose, bag it up, put it in one bin, and now you opened up a whole bunch of space. Make it work. We're collectors. This is what we do.
KJ, mic drop, thud, echo, reverb. Everyone in the chat is feeling everything you just said.
It's good.
Who wants to follow that?
No, it's just
not me. I don't have anything else I can say.
Before we leave, I see in the chat is T-Fan page 101. I just want to say hi because I never get to say hi to him. I follow you and I love all your stuff all the time. Keep doing it, man. I love it.
Brian's great. Actually,
when KJ got close to the screen, I this popped into my head. I'll pity the fool and don't buy that thing. It's in my head, you know.
That's awesome. No, I met T-Fan Page 101 a couple months back in Victoria, actually. Really good guy, really fun to chat toys with.
He's Canadian. He's Canadian. Top toy reviewer. Well,
he is. And his page has grown a lot since.
It's amazing. And he's got an amazing sense of humor, and his videos have a fantastic flow. And I'm watching you. And I live 12,000 miles from you.
Well, I live across the water, and I still have to get him on here. Like we've talked a bit about it before. I just want to maximize his time. You know what? I'll put that on the bucket list right now. Brian from T-Fan Page, we'll make you a guest at some point on TKO.
Bucket list. Anyway, there are guilty pleasures though. A few of
them.
There are. Yeah, a few. You can't say them on TV. but there are.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so next time, definitely, I'm gonna, think twice, think hard, no regrets, no regrets for those of the people who forget that reference. In future, though, with regards to vehicles and HasLab and Hasbro in general, if they continue, I mean, I am still a 1/18th collector and will continue to be one till I'm dead, because I'm Chinese and my hands are very small, and I like playing with smaller figures because it's easier for my tiny man hands to deal with. I really hope they do go back, and I really do hope they tap into G.I. Joe's original appeal, which was the ability for vehicles and figures to integrate seamlessly on a level that we haven't seen since, 1990, 1980, 1980, whatever. And of course, Mask, the toy line. And I really hope that one day we get back there. And I do hope that we never see the era where toys are just something to entertain infants until they're old enough to get into social media and video games. Because the artistry involved in toy making in general. So for anybody who wants to see that, go look at Mauler Joe's page, because he was a toy designer. And if you see his ability and his skill and his talent, the stuff that's poured into these people are artists. And it's very much like how I feel about AI art. It's the death of an industry, and we're watching it becoming less and less prevalent. We're watching really potentially even the end of it. So I just hope it continues on, and that people like myself and Mauler Joe and all of us continue to be relevant in the coming future, and that we all can enjoy it as a group.
Well, again, preach some more. Agreed 100%, apparently. So there you go. Gentlemen, it's been a fun time here. We're coming up on the 90-minute mark, but if anybody has anything else they want to throw out there, feel free. Next Saturday will be the Streamathon event. So this TKO will be replaced by a Saturday.
That is a terrible pitch. You're a wrestling fan.
All right.
Next week, right here, there, for 6 hours, it will be the ultimate streamathon. It'll be me. It will be Tor from Ken Connections. It'll be Gazz. It'll be Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter, and many more. We will be there for 6 hours of non-stop action as we take on everything from toys to wrestling and anything that's bothering us. Be there, pay-per-view, $500 for 6 hours.
What did I just watch?
I don't know.
Promo.
I haven't watched wrestling since like the early 2000s. That's what it's like, isn't it?
I thought you were a wrestling fan, Matthew, because what I just watched there was a promo from 1987.
The thing was it?
I guess I was just not expecting Hans to channel that level of enthusiasm.
You have to
Hans and enthusiasm. You got to bear in mind what you just. So
nothing
yes,
means nothing, man. Nothing means nothing.
Mm-hmm. So there's the proper promo, and the boring pitch was simply going to be, there's 6 channels next week: Toy Connections, Island of Misfit Toy Collectors, Treasures for Triggers, Sergeant Slaughter, Slaughterhouse, Slaughter Daughter, and Go Figure, joined by Hans, Chow, Gazz, and Space Commander. We're going to do 6 hours worth of streaming from 6 p.m. to midnight Eastern time. So join us there on Saturday, December the 10th for a 6-hour stream.
Royale in the cage. 8 people go in. Probably only Kelly comes out.
That's usually how it works when Kelly's in the mosh pit with us. She's usually the only one who comes out unscathed. So that's
I'm not going in with Kelly. Kelly's a rough dude, man.
You should have seen the 4-way debate we had with what's the best toy line ever earlier this year. It was between Transformers, G.I. Joe, MOTU, and Barbie, and she came in and bloodbathed all of us with her Barbie argument.
Of course.
Yeah.
She doesn't have guns. She's got cannons. I'm not arguing with that girl.
Absolutely. Yeah. And secondary pitch this Wednesday. Won't be 6 hours long, but I've got a stream on this channel with Mega J Retro and Geek Dad Life J, as well as we're trying to get at least one other guest that we haven't had on in a while or haven't had on at all. That will be kind of a middle of the day stream, closer to like 2:30 p.m. Eastern time or 11:30 a.m. sort of like lunchtime on the West Coast. So we'll be talking best 80s toy and cartoon villains. So I know it's a middle of the day thing, but I happen to be off that day, and the other two happen to be free at that time. So that's what'll be going on then. But I can only say that if Hans had been on that stream, he would have pitched it a lot better than I just did. And he probably would have, like, he channeled his inner macho man right now. I'm sure he would have, like, rolled that into a Roddy Piper fire level promo if I had let him continue, which, like I always say, Gazz. Oh, he's never going to let me live that down now. Sorry, Gazz.
There's an umlaut over his A.
Sorry, Gazz. Oh my goodness, what did I just say? Gazz in hand. See, I keep doing it. Need to tag team somehow and give us some form of social media outlet. If not something like this, then maybe an audio podcast of some sorts. Sorry, Gazz. Get another J to confuse people. See, I did that once where I had Jay Bartlett, Mega J, and Geek Dad J on, but I was just on Jay Bartlett's channel, so I didn't know if I could trouble him to come on like a few days later. But we might ask him. Yeah. And I don't think Gazz sounds too unhappy with me. He's still saying all hail Cobra Commander, the great snake rules forever. He's staying on topic, even if I've gotten.
If it's a wrestling fight, it's like when you face Gazz in the ring, you're gonna need a gauze. You know what I mean?
We would make a really good Chinese commentary team. I could be like the Jim Ross, and you could be like my Jerry Lawler. We could totally pull that off.
Sure.
I think
You guys should do that for the next time Zazel does a SWC video.
Yes. Oh, and check that video out from yesterday.
Oh yeah, you have to bite your lip. Oh wow, he's coming in the ring with the chair. Somebody stop the match. He's had enough.
I'll tell you who had enough. The Hitman in that.
Oh jeez.
Dealing with the Mountie on that episode. Anyway, I won't spoil it because it's on. It's the latest Slaughterhouse drop. So I'll let everyone watch that ahead of Streamathon next week. But hey, everybody, thank you for being on. Black Genghis, you can follow him on Instagram or on the Toy Kind of Mood YouTube channel. Matthew Comstock's Joe Restored. Yes, amazing Bratz car. Is that John Cena at the front?
Yeah. With the wrestler.
What are you talking about? There's nobody driving it.
You
see
can.
It's an empty car. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like everybody enjoyed it in the chat. Matthew outlet can be followed on the Joe Restored blog. The article that I kind of gaffed on saying which shark it was, that's the latest one that he's put up, but he's done a bunch of other ones too, like the Battle Force 2000 one he mentioned. And Hans, you can find him here next week and on 5 other channels next week and on Instagram because he sometimes goes live and does some artwork. But thank you, everyone. Thanks to, I always got to thank the patrons and channel members who support the channel as well. You can find their names in the description below next to the social media outlets of these 3 fine gentlemen. And with that, I guess I'll just bid you all adios, farewell, and have a good one. And cheers to an afternoon or a morning tea. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Don't do
Peace.
drugs.
Peace out.